Yo, what's up, dudes? What's up? How's it going? So back on for a quick video. I had been working on a few different things that required me to cut them up. But my God, you know, video editing work just takes so friggin' long. You know, it really, really does. And then when you're done, you have to sit there and let it, output for a while. So I had done a video last night. It's actually a daytime video, rare daytime video. And I just couldn't get it posted just because it was taking forever to render. Then when it rendered, I looked at it this morning and there was a screw up in it. And I was like, oh, why do I even try? It's like... So went and caught Steel Panther last week. They were friggin' awesome. Wore earplugs this time because last year my ears rang for like a day, and it was unbearably loud. Especially if you want to be close. If you want to sit on the other side of the room, that's one thing. But if you want to be somewhat close, you have to deal with some pretty loud speakers. And I already have a little bit of hearing loss, and don't want to exacerbate that in one of my ears. Every time I go for a hearing test, I'm fine with certain frequencies. Then I get to a point where they got to really crank it up for me to hear it. High frequency roll off big time. So it's worse in one ear than another. But I was like, why even tempt fate on that one? Just wear earplugs. I wanted to last year and I just forgot. So I wore them this year. And my God, I think it's like a 28 dB cut. It sounded great. I mean, I swear to God, it sounded better because it's not all that big jumble, that you get, from all this high frequency bouncing that's going on in the room. And instead you can really hear it very clearly. And my buddy, who was also wearing earplugs and has really good ears, was pointing out, he's like, they got some backing tracks going on here. I said, yeah, I noticed that. Because you can hear the second guitar, and I don't know that we noticed that last year. I think with the earplugs in, we could pick that up. So very interesting. They were definitely using a backing track on more than one song. And they were clearly playing live. I mean, any musician can look at another musician and tell whether or not he's, playing live or just going along with the motions. And I see that on YouTube every once in a while. And sometimes it's just an audio sync thing, but sometimes they clearly are just acting like they're playing, and they're really not playing at all. It was funny. There was one, I won't say who it is, but there was just like one chick who's, trying to be like a shred chick, and they're like, check out her shredding the stuff, and it's this like classical, and if you look at her short, you can clearly see it sped up, right? You can see like the light and how it, like, there's absolutely been sped up, to make her a little bit faster, and maybe a lot faster than she really is. Probably took it nice and slow, got every note just right, just perfect, and then you just speed the video up. So, whatever. So Panther was awesome. The opening act was, meh. What was they called? Future Villains. And compared to last year's opener, which was Hillbilly Herald, I'd give Hillbilly Herald the overwhelming approval, over Future Villains as a band. I thought their originals were better, and I thought their covers were better. So either, both ways, they sort of... and the guy from Future Villains, he blew his voice out pretty quickly. He's a bit of a screamer. Sounded great on the first couple of songs, but then started to go downhill. By the end, he's like, thank you very much. It's like Peter Brady out there. It's like the end of the second to last song, and by then people are just sort of like, right? The enthusiasm is way down in the crowd. They're like, okay, let's go. Bring out Steel Panther. So they're trying to go like, are you ready for Steel Panther? Woohoo! Trying to whip the crowd up. He's like, wow, I think you're the loudest crowd we've had so far. And the dude behind me screams, that's not good! Just brutal. This is an amp I don't really use that much. This is a I think they call it Citrus. It's a copy of the Orange, right? It's a little bit higher on the mids and on the mid highs. Sounds pretty good though. Gets a nice. Cleans up a little bit. Maybe not that much. Do I have this on? Yeah, I do. So anyway, Panther, great, and hasn't been much going on. A few people were commenting on, the Led Zeppelin lawsuit. Here's my take on that. They would clearly there's a lot of Stairway to Heaven that was not written by Spirit. Right? I mean, it's just a small section. So I think the best they're going to do is a co-writing credit. Right? That would be probably their best. It would be to get it'd serve them well, because if you get a co-writing, then royalties from that point on, you would get, and they'd probably be compensated for prior royalties. Right? I don't think that it's going to be like, well, we own Stairway to Heaven. That's ridiculous. Right? It's a very small part of the song. But they would certainly get a co-writing credit if they were, they were found to be the original, owners of the content. And here's what hurts Zeppelin. It's not, I swear, if Zeppelin had a clean record and if Spirit had nothing to do with Zeppelin, I think this case would never even be brought. But the fact is that Zeppelin had the opportunity, right? So it comes to just whether or not they really had a chance to even know about this song, and because they opened for them the year prior to the song's creation, I'd say they did, right? So right there is some connection between the two bands right around the time the song was copied, right? So I think that's the thing that really is a strike against Zeppelin. And then the other thing is that this isn't their first, time in this, sort of problem, right? They've been brought by, what was it, Willie Dixon and, Blind Lemon Pledge, whoever else did it, right? There's all kinds of guys out there that were suing them, basically saying they stole it. A buddy of mine says that for A Whole Lot of Love, it's not just that riff. If you listen to the singer, there's one that's not very close to what Robert Plant does at all, but there's another recording out there that's almost identical. You ain't coolin', baby, I'm not fooling, right? I mean, it's just almost precisely like it. So I think it might have been a copy of a copy. So I don't know. I'm just saying, Zeppelin's got their track record doesn't help them. It doesn't. That said, I freaking love Led Zeppelin. I think they've written some of the best songs ever. And, I think they're one of the greatest rock bands, period. And there was a period in my life, probably around 16 years old, where I only listened to Zeppelin. There was no other band. Every other band just wasn't good enough. So, there was a little period, probably around 82, where it was Zeppelin or bust. I didn't want to hear about any other band. And that wears off, right? I'm sure a lot of people go through that, not just for Zeppelin, but for, a bunch of bands out there. You go through a period where you're just listening to Hendrix, you're just listening to Aerosmith, you're just listening to Metallica, you're just listening to, Judas Priest or, whoever. Bon Jovi, pick a band. It's someone's favorite band. I think that, Zeppelin is, I think as a fan, it sort of, it hurts, right? Because you're like, oh, come on. It's like, I so love you guys and I so want to respect you, but stuff like this just, it's not helping. But again, there's two sides to every story. We haven't heard from Zeppelin, but I think that you won't. I don't think this is ever going to trial. I don't even think it's going to go to discovery. I think that as soon as they start to wanting to depose any member of Zeppelin, it's going to settle, because Zeppelin doesn't want to have to sit and go to some deposition and talk about how they came up with the song and have to deal with some plaintiff's attorney, asking them all kinds of questions about, the creative process and how they came up with it. Zeppelin's like, we're done with that. Well, how much is it going to cost to buy our way out of this? Right. So that's how I think it's going to go down. There'll be some haggling back and forth, but the bottom line is that if you can settle for a large amount without a lot of work, you can do pretty well as a plaintiff. If it goes, the longer it goes, the less likely it is to settle, because then the defendants usually dig their heels in. So, we'll see how it goes. My prediction is that it settles for an undisclosed sum, and whoever wrote that part of the Spirit song may get a co-writing credit. And there you go. Case over. But we'll see. She was on something recently. I had that song in my head. I think she's out on a tour, So that was about it. I wanted to come back on real quick. I'm trying to get a whole bunch of videos together, but it just takes forever. And then you get to the end and you're like, oh, mistake. Got to go back and do this again. And then sit back and let it render for, 2 hours, 3 hours. So, at any rate, thanks for stopping by. As always, rock on. And I'll be back up real soon. I say that every video. So, don't hold me to it. And we'll get some more up here. I wanted to do something with like octaves, So if you have a note on the B string, like this C, you can go up 2 frets and over to the A string and get that octave. And then if you're here, you can connect it to here. Go up. And then if you get here, you can connect it to here. And then, of course, if you're on the high E, you can go over to here. And then, of course, once you're over here, you can go up to there. And once you're here, you can go to here. And then you're back to the same spot again, but, an octave higher. But, I want to write all that out and just give you a PDF so, you don't have to say, where the hell is his fingers exactly on that? So we'll work on that. We'll get something up. But probably starting with octaves on a few lessons soon. All right, guys. As always, rock on.